Thank you,
So
sir.
now I am taking up special mentions, and kindly remember, morning I said after
I want to
at
read.
5 p.m. we will take up the discussion on agriculture, but the consent of the house is that agriculture discussion will be taken up only on Monday. So after special mention, the house will be adjourned. So now Mr. Sri Hussain Dalwai, special mention. If you want, you can read also. Those who want to read can read.
सर ये मेरा जो स्पेशल मेंशन है वो खास करके अगरबत्ती इंडस्ट्री के बारे में है. अगरबत्ती इज अ पार्ट ऑफ इंडियाज रिच कल्चर एंड हेरिटेज. द इंडस्ट्री इज अ स्मॉल स्केल एंड हैंडीक्राफ्ट बेस्ड इंडस्ट्री which employs millions of people across the country. The backward linkages ensure that some money is transferred to the forest dweller, particularly those in the northeast, through procurement of raw materials such as forest products and bamboo sticks. Since this is a handicraft industry, it is very labor intensive and typically has lower returns than other industries. However, due to the advent of globalization, this industry faces great threat from Chinese and Vietnamese imports. This is very important, sir. This industry faces great threat from Chinese and Vietnamese imports. These products are factory made and are cheaper than the indigenous product. The product is deliberately priced low and floods the market so that the consumer is influenced into buying these agarbattis, thus killing the local business and making around 2 million people unemployed. I have been told that every day around 10 to 15 containers of agarbattis arrive from Vietnam and China. Not only are these imports killing local businesses, they are duping consumers into buying a hazardous product and cheating the government of taxes. These imported agarbattis and dhoops contain a mosquito repellent chemical called alarthrin, and research has stated that prolonged exposure to this is particularly harmful to children. However, the consumer remains ignorant as these are sold under the disguise of lemongrass or citronella, and the packaging does not fully disclose the ingredients. A mosquito repellent is charged an additional 14% tax. However, as mentioned by the finance minister, agarbattis are fully exempted from excise tax. On the one hand, the government is emphasizing make in India, and on the other side, regressive practices are leading to large-scale unemployment and health issues while destroying an important traditional industry. I urge the government to take immediate action in this matter. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sanji. Mr. Shantaram Naik, you want to read?
Sir, in every general elections or by-election, Election Commission is trying to control spending of money by candidates contesting Assembly or Lok Sabha elections. Earlier, Representation of People's Act 1951 and the rules made thereunder permitted spending of amount by relatives and friends of candidate without any limit. The government a few years back deleted the provision from the election law. However, unlimited powers which permit political parties to spend amount during an election are unjust and unfair. Amounts spent by parties who can arrange for funds for hiring aircrafts, helicopters, luxury cars, for advertisements in print and electronic media runs into thousands of crores. Concept of paid news has not been able to control mischievous elements from violating election laws, though it forms part of election expenditure. Since the Commission is finding itself helpless to curb the menace of excess spending, the Commission too, unfortunately, resorts to issuing instruction purportedly under Article 324, which amounts to Election Commission itself exceeding its limit. Circulars, instructions issued by the Commission with respect to major public meetings are so vague that expenditure observers interpret instructions differently in different constituencies. Prices of election material, snacks supplied to party workers become the bone of contention between the candidates and election expenditure observers. In these circumstances, law pertaining to all aspects of election expenditure should be unambiguously, and therefore there should be limit to spending by political parties prescribed by clear statutory provisions.
Thank you, Mr. Shantaram. Mr. Thangavelu.
My special mention is demand to take immediate step to the repair of Senbavali Dam in Tamil Nadu Kerala border along with Kiriyar project I am laying.
Thank you. Mr. Ramnath Thakur. Not present. Chaudhary Munawar Salim. Ji.
माननीय उपसभापति महोदय, मैं अपनी बात को इस तारीखी सच के साथ शुरू करना चाहता हूं। मैं अपनी बात को इस तारीखी सच के साथ शुरू करना चाहता हूं कि दुनिया में हिंदुस्तान ऐसा तन्हा मुल्क है जिसकी सभ्यता और संस्कृति सिंधु घाटी और गंगा जमुना के रूप में नदियों के नाम से मंसूब है। सरकार ये सच बताए कि देश में कितनी नदियां अपना अस्तित्व खो चुकी हैं और कितनी नदियां अपने अस्तित्व की आस लेकर सिसक रही हैं। गंगा जमुना से शुरू होने वाली ये दर्दनाक कहानी मेरे गृह नगर विदिशा और मेरी जन्मस्थली से वाबस्ता पाकीज़ा नदी बेतवा तक जाती है। नदियों के प्रदूषण की दर्दनाक कहानी में जालिम की भूमिका अदा करने वाला कोई और बाहरी मुल्क नहीं है, बल्कि अपने ही देश के कल कारखाने और नागरिक हैं। मैं आपके माध्यम से मेरा ये आरोप है कि नदियों की अपवित्रता में अंग्रेज शासकों ने भी ज्यादातर बस्तियों से बहने वाले गंदे नालों को नदियों से जोड़कर नदियों के स्वच्छ और शीतल पानी को जहरीला बनाने का काम किया है। इसका वैज्ञानिक उपचार होना चाहिए। मैं विदिशा के ऐतिहासिक मैदान से बहने वाली बेतवा मैया का अस्तित्व बचाने की गुहार करते हुए भारत सरकार से कहना चाहता हूं कि वर्तमान सरकार में ऐसे अनेकों राजनीतिक किरदार हैं जो ऐतिहासिक तौर पर बेतवा के कर्जदार हैं। उन सबको अपने आप से जोड़ते हुए अपने अस्तित्व के लिए करहाती हुई बेतवा की सफाई के लिए मंडीदीप जिला रायसेन से लेकर माता टीला तक एक विराट और विशाल योजना बनाने की मांग करता हूं। बेतवा के किनारे बने हुए तमाम कल कारखानों में एक बार पुनः प्रदूषण निवारक यंत्रों को अवलोकित करते हुए बेतवा में छोड़े जाने वाले तेजाबी मटेरियल को से बचाने की मांग करता हूं और विदिशा के ऐतिहासिक चरण तीरथ घाट को गहरीकरण के माध्यम से सुंदर व्यवस्थित और झील रूपी बनाकर पर्यटकों के लिए लुभावनी योजना तैयार करते हुए सरकार से स्वीकृत करने की मांग करता हूं। मेरा ये दर्द अपनी बेतवा सहित हिंदुस्तान की उन तमाम नदियों के लिए है जो अपने अस्तित्व के लिए करहा रही हैं। मेरा एक आखिरी सेंटेंस है साहब, ये सुन लीजिए। नदी बच्चे की मुस्कुराहट की तरह निश्चल, आसमान में बहती हुई हवा की तरह निष्पक्ष और माँ के लाड और दुलार की तरह अपने बच्चों को जीवन देने वाली होती है। इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं कि जमीन पर बहता हुआ पानी जिंदगी है और जिंदगी को बचाने की सरकारों की नैतिक जिम्मेदारी है। इसको पूरा करना चाहिए। हिंदुस्तान जिंदाबाद।
Thank you very much, Chaudhary ji. Mr. Bhupender Singh, not present. Mr. Dilip Kumar Tirki.
Thank you, sir. So, through you, I would like to draw the attention of the government to a major shortcoming in Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. The Jan Dhan Yojana envisages the opening of the bank accounts for all the families within a period of 1 year. But unfortunately, the left-wing extremely affected districts have been excluded from the coverage of this scheme in the first phase. Sir, the poor family living in these areas are more backward than any other parts of the country. And mostly these families belong to tribals and SCs and extremely backward classes. Providing banking facility to them will help them in a big way. So the government must take a more positive approach to these areas regarding banking services. Unless different basic services are provided in these areas, the people living there will be further eliminated from the mainstreams of the society. Extra efforts need to be taken to bring them into the mainstreams. This will also help combating the left-wing extreme problems. Therefore, I will demand from the government that under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, the left-wing extremely affected districts should also be included. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Dilip. Srimati Vijala Satyanand.
This is a special mention regarding the charter of demands of the Gramin Dak Sevaks Union. Gramin Dak Sevaks of the Department of Post are humble servants of the people serving the people in the villages with postal service and were formerly the extra departmental agents. In the beginning, 7 lakhs were appointed as postal employees. Out of this, 3 lakhs were appointed in daily wages category. They are branch postmasters, postmen, mail carriers, who are not still the permanent workers. Earlier, they were appointed through employment exchanges in 1990, and according to their proficiency in class 10, with the condition that they should be local residents also. Like other government employees, they were not given leave, DA, etc. Previously, they got rupees 3,500 as bonus every year. Last 2 years, it has been reduced to rupees 2,500. After much struggle, it has been again enhanced to rupees 3,500. But if they wanted to take a leave, then they have to substitute a person and then go on leave. About 2,65,000 such Gramin Dak Sevaks work all over the country without any pension, no increment, no leave, no DA. Some of them are working for the last 40 years. There is a great injustice caused to them so far. We urge your indulgence to prevail upon the government, the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, to appoint a committee under retired judge of a High Court or a Supreme Court, as these issues were not included in terms of reference of 7th Pay Commission. I urge the Department of Post to honor these words and appoint a pay committee under a retired judge. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Srimati Kanagalata Singh, not present. Dr. Vijay Singh, not present. Srimati Sachikala Pushpa.
Sir, I place my special mention regarding stopping the construction of reservoirs at Meghdadu, Karnataka. Makkalin Mudalvar Dr. Purachi Talavi Amma had taken various measures for getting a favorable award from the Supreme Court of India regarding Kaveri water dispute. As a result of our leaders' initiatives and consistent efforts, on 20th February 2013, based on the directions of the Supreme Court, the Government of India had notified the final historical award of the Kaveri Water Disputes Tribunal on sharing the waters of Kaveri among the basins of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Pondicherry. Again, the Supreme Court on 10th May 2013 issued interim direction to the Government of India to establish temporary supervisory committee to implement the Kaveri Tribunal order till the constitution of Kaveri Management Board. I request the Government of India to immediately constitute Kaveri Management Board and establish Kaveri Water Regulation Committee. But in the meantime, the government of Karnataka going ahead with the construction of 2 dams across the Kaveri river at Meghdadu. It is against the established principles of peaceful coexistence. In this regard, on 27th March 2015, the Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly passed an unanimous resolution requesting the centre to constitute the Kaveri Management Board and Kaveri Water Regulatory Committee, and also to prevent Karnataka government from proceeding with the proposed construction of the dams. If this is allowed to be constructed, it would further strain the relationship and entire delta areas of Tamil Nadu would suffer. In this connection, on 28 March 2015, an all-party delegation of MPs from Tamil Nadu met the Honorable Prime Minister and urged him to take steps in this regard. Hence, as our leader insisted time and again, I urge upon the centre to immediately constitute the Kaveri Management Board and Kaveri Water Regulation Committee and instruct the government of Karnataka not to go ahead with the construction of dams across Kaveri at Meghdadu. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good,
Thank you. Yes.
I also associate.
Mr. All the people can bless you. Sri Majid Mehman.
Honorable Sir, as reported in various newspapers, the officers of Indian Navy and Coastal Guard on Monday, the 20th of April 2015, in a joint operation, intercepted a boat after a long chase around 250 nautical miles off the Porbandar coast near the international maritime boundary line, which reportedly originated from Pakistan and was carrying a large consignment of narcotics. Needless to bring to the notice of the House that on January 1 also this year, a suspicious Pakistani fishing vessel had sunk without a trace around 365 kilometers off Porbandar in mysterious circumstances after being intercepted by a Coast Guard offshore patrol vessel on the high seas. I therefore humbly urge the government through this august House to take strong and concrete steps to check recurrence of such incidents, especially in the Porbandar offshore. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sri Ambedkarajan, not present. Sri Avinash Rai Khanna, not present. Sri Narendra Kumar Kashyap, not present. Sri Motilal Vora, not present. Sri Manishankar Iyer.
So today is National Panchayat Raj Day. It marks the 22nd anniversary of the gazetting of the 73rd Constitution Amendment as Part 9 of the Constitution entitled The Panchayats. On this day of national importance, dedicated to fulfilling the centre's duties towards the constitutionally mandated third tier of self-government, involving 32 lakh democratically elected representatives, 14 lakh of whom are women, and comprising all sections of our society, SC, ST, OBCs, I rise to urge the government to give its closest attention to the following 9 points. 1, recognize that inclusive growth is not possible without inclusive governance. 2, to this end, ensure the centrality of Panchayat Raj institutions in all centrally sponsored schemes. 3, prioritize the implementation of the recommendations of the 2013 expert group on leveraging Panchayat Raj institutions. 4, complete with all deliberate speed the work of activity mapping in all centrally sponsored schemes. 5, restore the biannual State of the Panchayats report and its associated index of devolution. 6, undertake a fresh survey of the role of empowered women representatives in the panchayats. 7, establish a fund to incentivize states and panchayat raj institutions to accelerate effective devolution and ensure transparency and accountability in their transactions. 8, revisit the 2008 report of the NDC's Subcommittee on Panchayat Raj with a view to submitting it to the National Development Council. 9, revive the Rajiv Gandhi Panchayat Sashktikaran Yojana and the Backward Regions Grant Fund to restore the cut in the budget grant of the Ministry of Panchayat Raj. I might add the savage cut in the budget of the Ministry of Panchayat Raj from rupees 7,000 crore now to rupees 94 crore. So since I seem to have another minute or two at my disposal, might I add a 10th suggestion that the Ministry of Panchayat Raj be de-linked
Please
from
read.
the Ministry of Rural
Please
Development,
read. Please read.
and that the ministry, in view of the
No, I
ambit
said-
of the
no,
11th schedule,
Kindly please read what is in the text.
I'll just finish this one
Finish,
sentence.
that's
sir.
all. Thank you.
Just
Thank
this-
you very much. I know. So other than what is in the
केवल
text,
पढ़ सकते हैं,
Other than-
आप उसमें अलग से कोई भाषण नहीं
other
कर
than
सकते
what is
इसमें.
in the text,
This is
what
a
is
special
spoken, need not
mention.
want. Only the text
खैर,
matter.
न आए तो मुख्तार साहब बैठे हैं और मैं आपसे
Thank
अर्ज
you very
करता
much.
हूं कि
I'm
जो
Mr. Vivek
आखिरी
Gupta.
चीज मैं कहने वाला हूं वो आप ही मंत्री महोदय को तक पहुंचा दें, वो
Vivek
ये
Gupta.
कि
Thank you.
आज के-
Don't go on record.
so he's agreed to transmit it to the minister.
Not that when during special mentions, only the text will be allowed to read.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Vivek Gupta. Yes, okay.
Deputy Chairman, sir.
Take down all the names. No associate.
Deputy Chairman, sir, thank you for giving me this opportunity. My special mention today is on the proposal to include Ganga Sagar in West Bengal in the list of natural cultural heritage sites. So there is a very famous saying, "Sare Tirat bar bar, Ganga Sagar ek bar." This phrase itself speaks the laurels of the historic heritage of the Ganga Sagar Island in the Sundarban biosphere. The Ganga Heritage River Cruise Circuit is an initiative by the Government of West Bengal for identifying, preserving and promoting art, tradition, heritage, culture and environment as thrust areas for development of Indian culture and tourism. The Ganga Sagar Pilgrimage and Fair is the second largest congregation after the Holy Kumbh, where over 5 lakh people take a holy dip on a single day of Makar Sankranti. The Teejsthan and the Kumbh Mela attract an annual footfall of 15 to 20 lakhs. The Government of West Bengal has connected the villages in the Sagar Islands with electricity through aerial wires across the river, the first such ever initiative of its kind in the country. Sir, West Bengal is the final recipient of all upstream, downstream pollution of River Ganga. While West Bengal is leading the Clean Ganga mission, having completed 24 out of the 30 sanctioned projects implemented in 24 towns across the state. The previous government had sanctioned 1,200 crores for West Bengal under the NGRBA. However, no amount has been allocated to West Bengal under the Namami Ganga in either 2014 or 2015. Sir, tourism boosts the social economic development of the people in the region. The Ganga Sagar as a place of religious importance and a hub for tourism and promotion of Indian culture should be declared as a national heritage site. I would like to draw the government's attention through you to this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. The House stands adjourned till 11 a.m. on Monday, the 27th of April 2015.